My name is Christy Busby, and you are about to listen to the next episode of my podcast called F.A.T.E, From Atheism to Enlightenment. So come on in, join me. We're going to talk about it all, from atheism to enlightenment. Alrighty, guys, here we go. Get ready, and welcome to your F.A.T.E. Welcome, everyone, to the next episode of F.A.T.E. How's everybody doing out there? On today's show, we are going to be talking about the power of near-infrared lights, saunas, mats, all of it. I have Philip Wilson today on the show. He is the president of Relax Saunas of Momentum, and he's here to talk about the power of infrared light, what it can do to transform and change your health. But first, welcome to your F.A.T.E, Philip. How you doing today?
I'm doing good. I'm doing really good.
Thank you for coming on the show. I'm really interested in talking about this. I myself have benefited greatly from the use of infrared light. I've done saunas. I have a mat. It has virtually transformed so many things from my skin to my digestive system. I want to get into all of that and share that with my audience. But first, from what I understand, you yourself have had your own kundalini awakening, a profound out-of-body experience. I would love for you to tell my audience your journey, how you got here, what was your experience with your own spiritual development. So how did you get here, Philip? Why don't we start there?
That's a great question. Like a lot of times we just end up somewhere. So like in a conversation, how did we end up here?
Yes.
And so it's the same thing with all of life. And I'm in love with the process of how all life works. And my history is I was sort of like a child prodigy in math. I finished second, third, and fourth in the state of Indiana on national and statewide math exams. I was published in high school as solving problems for a mathematical high school magazine, and I was published about 3 times during my senior year of high school. So the transformation of Philip Wilson, whose body I am in. I am, this is the mask that I wear.
Yes.
And I remember way back, I said I'm gonna write a book called Autobiography of a Mind, because that's actually the name of my book forthcoming is actually Pictures of the Mind, and the subtitle is Freeing Yourself from Beliefs that No Longer Serve You. So basically, I was studying the foundations of mathematics. I remember, well, how can you say that? You're supposed to clear the mind and blank. And then they say, you can say this implies this. And so it was always very puzzling for me. And when I was a kid, my favorite kind of programs were those that were sort of like non-physical, like Mork and Mindy. There's a program called Topper. My Favorite Martian was an old program when I was growing up. There were other programs, just Twilight Zone, of course. Anything that was beyond the normal, I was attracted to. So meanwhile, I'm minding my own business, having a girlfriend. She found another boyfriend, and somehow we connected, and we found out both of us were being told a bunch of lies, not, out of malice, but to protect us. And so I realized that actually he was better for her. And so I went through quite a trauma in letting go of her, because my whole world was shattered. My worldview, our future, the pictures I had, the dreams I had, were it wasn't going to be. So in a sort of like, I wasn't really depressed. I was just sort of like a zombie. And in the throes of that, I had a realization. And the realization was I needed to get involved in music, art, and dance. that was the realization. And because I was left brain and I needed to be more right brain. Now, that was my conscious realization. When I look back at it, I was connected to source. I was connected to that water from once you drink that you never thirst again. And I was basically raised Jewish, and basically, and I didn't realize Jews believed in God because I certainly didn't. So I was a
We had that in common. I myself did not believe in God. You had said prior to us clicking the old
yeah.
record button that you were an atheist growing up, and I was like, "Oh, well, that we align with," because I myself was an atheist for most of my life up until a few years ago. So, tell us a little bit, what was that in your journey?
Well, I called myself a cross between an atheist, an agnostic, and a Jew. I was proud of the Jewish heritage, and I believed, and I always believed in myself. But I, had no clue, no clue. I was very naive. And so when I woke from this experience, all of a sudden, I said, how come I'm the only one in the world that doesn't know what life's about and everyone else does? Which is really funny if, looking back at it. But I was determined to find out what life was about because I was certainly not streetwise. I maybe, had an honors degree in mathematics, but I didn't know what life was about. And here my whole world was shattered. So basically, when I look back at that experience, see, because of my religious or non-religious background, you don't imagine people, these three beings coming and taking me out of my body and showing me the overhang of about 9 indoor handball courts. And you see all these women doing dance and 1/3 doing art and another third and music and another third as they were pointing out to me that I needed to get involved in music, art, and dance. And then I got connected to that.
Did this happen in, like, a dream? Was this a download? Was this a vision? Were you under plant medicine? Like, when did this, epiphany how did it hit you? How
Right.
did this translate?
Well, the beauty of it is I didn't even know that half the people in my fraternity house were doing marijuana. I had never done any kind of drug. I was straight. My younger brother likened me to Spock in Star Trek, kind of mentality that was there. So I was a thinker becoming a feeler. The book that expressed that so well. Are you familiar with Herman Hesse's books? He wrote
No.
Siddhartha. He wrote Siddhartha. He wrote Steppenwolf. Those are classic.
Okay. Yep,
Like the
yep,
band
I've heard of
band
those, yep.
Steppenwolf was named. So there's a book called Narcissus and Goldmund by Herman Hesse, and that was a friend loaned it to me, and I would walk to graduate school and mathematics classes every day. And for about a month, all I did is ponder about that book. And so I was a thinker becoming a feeler. And I said to a friend once, I've discovered the secret of life. All you have to do is feel.
Yeah.
And if
Yeah.
in Star Wars, what does Obi-Wan Kenobi tell Luke? He says, turn off the computer. You listen to your feelings. And so basically, when you're very mental, is in other words, if you have a thought, either drop it or love it.
Yeah.
And Paul Twitchell's one of my heroes. He said, feeling impregnates thought with action. And so, it's all about what The Secret was all about and more. Yep. The secret is the willingness to not have what you want. And if you have that willingness to not have, then you can have it. But another of my favorite quotes is being for or against anything exiles you from the God consciousness state and locks you into duality.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so being neutral, being willing to not have, and honoring everyone are certain spiritual principles that I've developed, not developed, that I've I've grokked, that I've understood. It's like in the Beautiful Mind book, the movie. He wants one original thought that breaks through the matrix of all the programming you hear from your parents, you hear from your teachers, and to actually have a thought that goes, or a realization that goes beyond that. And it wasn't until I was reading the book by Alan Watts, The Taboo Against Knowing Who You Are, that I realized that this thing that I'd connected with, and I'm all living life fully for about a good year, I had no clue that was what God was all about, because it was like, oh my God, I thought they were all crazy. I thought anyone who believed in God was crazy. And in high school, I used to delight in mathematical proofs that God didn't exist, even though I saw the holes in it, but it was still sort of funny. But basically, I was just living my life.
So the kundalini awakening, can you describe what that felt like when that happened? What was the arc for that to come into your existence? How did that happen?
That's a great question. What I did is I had a very unique kind of kundalini awakening, and I had to read the book Gopi Krishna on the awakening kundalini to sort of like find out what in the world happened to me. But again, I had my out of body experience, purely natural, no drugs, no nothing like that. It was about after I graduated college, for the first time, I started smoking marijuana, and that showed me. It was like a teacher showing me what it was like to be in the now. And it's funny because the Relax Sauna is sort of like the compatriot of that, because when people go into the Relax Sauna, I say it's like truth serum, because you get gently prodded into getting into the present moment, because of the intense far infrared light that's resonating with your water molecules and getting you into the now. And that's activating the parasympathetic in a way that no other invention on this planet can seem to do. Maybe float tanks, but sensory deprivation.
Yeah.
But when I'm in the Relax Sauna, I have all this vibration in my body, and you can feel everything vibrating. It's like when I was meditating way back in the early 70s, and you felt like you were in the presence of the divine.
Yeah.
So that's sort of the experience that I had. I became very humble. I sort of half dropped out of mathematics. I was in graduate school, and I couldn't do math anymore. My math advisor said to me, Phil, you have to apply discipline, because I wasn't doing the math. And that's when I understood the difference between discipline and self-force. Discipline is when you apply pressure to get yourself to do what you really, really, really want to do. And self-force is when you apply pressure to get yourself to do something that you no longer want to do or don't want to do. So, getting back to your question, I became very humble. I mean, I was really, really humble back then, because I really didn't know. And I was really focusing on being in the moment and all the time and listening all the time. So meanwhile, I'm at the university library, and there's a man, or at the student union, there's some tall man about 6.5 feet, wearing yoga pants and no shirt, asked me, just what was going on in the city that night. And I responded, just automatically, no, I didn't. But then I thought for a while, and I still didn't know, but we started into a conversation, and he was about 6'6", and so my neck got tired. I'm about 5'7". And so we finally, after 20, 30 minutes, we walked back to my apartment about a half mile away. And then we, because we were having a very, very interesting conversation, no idea what it was about in my memory. But then he said, well, let's do this exercise. Because he was he had been with Self-Realization Fellowship, and he was studying under the woman master who replaced Yogananda. And so he had a dream, and in the dream he realized, it was clear to him in the dream that in a past life he was actually the teacher of this woman. And so he
Oh,
was on his way to Europe looking for another master, and he's going through Columbus, Ohio, because I was a graduate student there in mathematics at Ohio State. So he said, do this technique. This is the fifth initiation technique in Kriya Yoga. And so he had me do that. He said, you don't black out. Instead, he would put a mattress behind me, and I would do this kind of thing and go like this and chant and look into my third eye. And he said, you sort of like blew out, not blackout, you blow. And so I would do this and just wait there. And then all of a sudden I'd be hit and my back would fall back on the mattress to protect me. We did that 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 times. Then he went out. Then he came back and we did it a little bit more. And my whole body was just totally electrified, just totally electrified.
Yep.
And every cell of my body was like shaking and moving. It's like when you get in the Relax Sauna, every water molecule in your body is moving. So it's very interesting that the universe or the divine has orchestrated me promoting the Relax Far Infrared Sauna. By the way, Far Infrared, it took the Relax company 10 years to get the near out.
Oh, really? Oh, interesting.
Because the near does not resonate with the water molecules.
Oh.
And near infrared only penetrates 1/16 of an inch, while far infrared penetrates 2 inches. So it's like there's a commentator on YouTube. He says that the more far you have in your sauna, the more therapeutic it's going to be. But anyway, getting back to my experience, my whole body was filled, and like I think 3 days later, I ate a steak, and my whole body was comatose. So it took me about 6, 7, 8 hours worth of meditating to finally get my mind to work. And 4 days later, I had a ham steak, and the same thing happened. At that time, my body chemistry was changing.
That's exactly what I was going to say. I'm like, your body no longer wanted that type of sustenance.
But before that, after I had my out-of-body experience that I wasn't even aware that I had, I remember drinking like 3-4 ounces of orange juice, and I'd start getting a stomach ache. And by the 6 months later, like in the spring of 71, or compared to February in 1970 when I had the out-of-body experience, I could drink a quart of orange juice and not get a stomach ache. Meanwhile, I went totally off coffee. Because coffee made me nervous. This is before the kundalini awakening. And I started doing marijuana, like I said, because, and then I ran into the Ram Dass book, The Be Here Now book.
Yes.
And and I was at a friend's house, and that was there, the great big one before the book came out. It was like about twice the area, or 4 times the area. It was a great big book. Yeah. And it was only the center part. And I was reading that. I said, well, this is what happened to me, because I had no clue what had happened. And so, again, it's like the book Jonathan Livingston Seagull, where all of a sudden you start becoming aware, and you're different, and you have desires of wanting, so, all I wanted to do is be free, more and more free, and break up thought patterns that were limiting me. And like, because of my foundations in mathematics, you get rid of a premise that you believe, and your whole world changes. So it's extracting old belief systems that no longer
serve you.
That no longer serve you. You hit the nail on the head. So this was, so because of that, I became one of the original biohackers. I had to get into fasting. And I went to a health instructor. I said, you need to do fasting, he said. So, and then I broke my first fast on figs, and the next one on dates. And so I became addicted to figs and dates, I think, for about 9 months. I think 80% of my diet was figs, dates, and cashews. and I was doing those yoga exercises and meditating for about 6 hours every morning from about 6 a.m. to about noon before I felt
Wow.
good enough to go out in the world. And I did that for about 9 months. And I was walking, down the street, and I probably appeared to be sort of weird. I remember when I was at Ohio State University, at Indiana University studying math, there's one strange guy who was always sort of like, he was meditating. I had no clue what any of that was. And he would just sort of like hang out in the trees by the math building. And so I must have appeared rather weird to people. At the time, I sure was having the greatest time of my life, discovering who I was. And I remember
Discovering,
being,
yeah.
being led to these books that said, see, I was reading, I think, The Science of Breath by the 1904 Yoga Society of Chicago by a man named Yogi Ramacharaka. But anyway, it said that every cell of your body has consciousness.
Yes.
Okay. And that yeah, it's like you are not your mind. You're not your see, you are quote soul. You don't have a soul.
That's right.
You are
We are, yes, we are an eternal being of light with in this vessel that we come down here in. Our soul is us. We are our soul.
yeah,
That is who, we have this ego mind and this mind that kind of is here to have us function in the material world, working with our five senses. But beyond that, our thoughts aren't really, they've never even scientifically been able to prove anything about even where our thoughts arise from.
well,
And it is,
yeah,
consciousness.
when you have the experience of knowing, like the knowingness that you can't not exist. You have
Yeah.
always been, and you take on a mind, and you take on feelings, and you take on a physical body.
Yeah.
Just like you go into a car, and in the car is a body, and in that body there are clothes on that body, and you
Yep.
take clothes off, you take the car off, and you take the mind away, and
Yeah.
being able to perceive without the mind is the most fun thing in the world. People think,
100%.
and so I tell people I'm just visiting the planet, and I have had memories of being in different bodies in different lifetimes, like maybe 3 or 4 or 5. That's enough, 6 or 7. And that you are. Like
Yeah.
the only truth there is God is, or I am, or it is.
Yep.
And therefore anything else you say is a lie, a half lie, a half truth, a temporary truth.
Yeah.
And like the way you spell belief is a signature of what the word belief means. BELIEF. So every belief is a lie. What it is, it's a mock-up, like I heard the word God is not mocked, never understood what it meant, but basically the whole world is a mock-up. The whole world is a drama.
Yeah.
Shakespeare,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
whole
Yeah.
world staged, and all the men and women are merely players. They made
Yes.
us study that in high school. But at any rate, we use beliefs to travel with. And once they no longer serve us, we go on to another belief. But so there's a belief that people have about saunas. They think all saunas are the same and they're all alike. That's like saying every drugstore vitamin is like every health food store vitamin, and you have different qualities and different grades and different sizes of vitamins, like vitamin C. You can get liposomal vitamin C,
Yeah.
which is
Yeah.
able to be absorbed a lot more than natural vitamin C, which is more
Yeah.
absorbable than um, ascorbic acid.
Yep.
And you could have 1 gram, or you could have 100 milligrams, or you could have 30 capsules, or you can have 270 capsules. And so there's a detox specialist in Las Vegas who says, no, all saunas are not alike. That's like saying all vehicles are alike. A bicycle is the same as a Mercedes. They're both vehicles.
Yeah.
And so when one is aware of saunas, it's who would have thought that there are different technologies. For example, I was selling a portable sauna and loved it, totally loved it. I bought one, and then a year later, I get a call from the Relax Sauna company in Taiwan saying their technology is a lot more advanced. They use semiconductor chips. It's a computer technology. They get all the near infrared out. They get all the mid infrared out because the near infrared only penetrates 1/16 of an inch. It's good for the skin. The mid penetrates. It's good for the muscle, but the far infrared penetrates 2 inches and is good for the skin, the muscles, the core, the bones, the joints, and vibrates the water molecules. So the whole purpose of a far infrared sauna, according to Dr. Sherry Rogers, is who wrote the book Detoxify or Die in 2001. The purpose of a far infrared sauna is to vibrate the water molecules. That's the only purpose. It does one thing, but that's magical. It's
Yeah.
like you're basking in divine love, and every cell of your body is infused with the divine energy. And so when you go into the relaxed sauna, you feel like you're being loved. You
Yeah.
feel like being hugged by your grandma. You're feeling like you're basking in divine love, or you're in the presence of a great guru or qigong master. And it's basically, or you're on a beach in Hawaii.
Yeah. I mean, we can start getting into a little bit more of the impacts of the infrared light. And why don't you talk a little bit about what the technology and what is the path for which it can bring you such amazing results with your health?
Well, when I had that kundalini awakening, and again, after having the out of body experience, that I was connected to that water from once you drink, you never thirst again. Divine guidance had been set in, and I listened to that, and I likened that to being the real me. That's who I was. I identified with being that, not the personality. That was I was very aware of the inner guidance and listening to it. Like when Don Juan, in the book Carlos Castaneda, The Teachings of Don Juan, he says to find your spot. And finding your spot means you have to listen. It's like be still and know that you are God. So you have to, and what I do is a very simple technique I have sometimes is I just push my tummy out and refuse to breathe. And then after about a half minute, it starts breathing me. And then I flow with that rhythm. So it's like, yeah, it's just something I picked up just doing unconsciously in like 1970, 71. But basically, and that's like a computer reset. It's like, okay, I'm getting out of, I'm stepping out by refusing to breathe. I'm stepping out. And then I'm listening. I'm fully intent. My antenna are up. I'm being vigilant, and I'm putting my attention on my spine, and getting it and just listening. So at any rate, in doing this, my diet started changing already. I said, wow, that's like a secret. So the detoxing of the body was super important. And after I had the Kundalini awakening, it's like I had no choice but to cleanse the body to catch up with the spiritual realizations I was having. My body had to be clean for me to be able to listen better.
Not only that, your body needs to be cleaned in order for it to vibrate higher. If you're eating all of these non-nutritional, low vibrational foods, it keeps your own energy down and keeps you from being able to ascend your own vibration. So you can attract better, higher, greater things into your own life. You're not able to ascend unless you detox, clean your body, and allow it to vibrate so you can ascend.
And so exactly what I was doing was purifying my body by being very careful and eating. And that's why I was driven to get into fasting, to be able to function, because I was just not able to eat anything. So I didn't know anything at all, just thrown into the swimming pool, swim. And so I started doing grapefruit and brown rice, and then a little bit of yogurt, and so anyway, I was just doing what I was doing and having the time of my life doing it. It was, when I look back, it was, rather a discipline. I remember walking down the street and said, with this lifestyle, I'll never ever be married. So I believed that I would never ever be married. That's not true because I'm. But anyway,
But you're married now?
well, I was married for 6-7 years. I'm living
Okay.
with a woman who we have a great relationship with right now, and I've had a number of relationships over, my 77 years or whatever. But the purification of the body, purification is one of my favorite words, because when we're pure, then we can hear, we can
Yes.
be in the
Yes.
presence of the divine, and then we can respond instead of react, because we're in the moment. It's all about being in the moment, being in the moment, being in the moment. And when I was meditating in, I think, 1997, they said to me, momentum. Then they said, taking advantage of the moment. And then they said, propelling yourself into greatness. And taking advantage of the moment means living in the moment and listening. So there you go. Again, there's the listening. And remember, you said that the feeling, I mentioned it this way, feeling impregnates thoughts with action. And it's like the whole idea, when you're listening, then when a new wave comes by, because you're listening and attentive to it, you can get in front of that wave, and the wave will propel you into greatness. And that's like, there's a book by Brother Lawrence, 80 pages on practicing the presence of God. And frankly, if you take the phrase momentum, taking advantage of the moment, propelling yourself into greatness, that's like a practical way to practice the presence of God. And, like reincarnation, like I said, I remember 3 or 4 scenes, but I remember reading this one book many years ago. It says reincarnation is a very clumsy way of saying that everything is happening now.
Yeah.
And there only is the now. You only have one moment, and that is now.
Yes. Yeah.
And it doesn't matter whether you have one lifetime or not. You still get into the now and be who you are and make the best of it. So it's like learning to separate the wheat from the chaff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think there is this growing deluge of people that are awakening right now. I think that more and more people are questioning our institutions. They're questioning
Yeah.
the systems that we live in. They're questioning everything that our society was kind of built around. And it was built around a lot of misinformation, a lot of lies, a lot of we're inundated with fear, and we're inundated with outrage, and there's a reason that they keep us divided and distracted from who we are, because once you start understanding what this whole thing is, it really empowers you. For me, I have zero fear left in me. I am so fearless now. I am an eternal being of light. Everything else is just here to teach us to expand and grow our own conscious, to become more godlike.
It's funny. There is an Alan Watts book that I haven't thought of in about 50 years. It's called "Does It Matter?" And
Yes.
it's like everything again. This is all drama, melodrama. But what I like to say is that the cast party is a hell of a lot more fun.
Yeah.
When you leave this world, you see that it's just, see, again, there's truth in everything. There's good in everything. So all the craziness and all the division in this world right now, the purpose of it is we have all consciously, unconsciously mocked it up so we can awaken. All that matters is that we awaken. And as we awaken, that's the first step. Then our journey begins, our conscious journey.
And everybody has to awaken under their own terms. I don't think you can't make people awaken. You can't make people embrace new information. You can't make people change. You can't do any of that. One of the reasons why I'm doing this show is like, I don't think that my show is going to make anybody awaken, but my hope is that at least it makes them think. At least it maybe ponders, maybe gives them a different perspective. Maybe it sounds intriguing to them and they want to learn more, but I am certainly out here trying to raise the consciousness of this planet because I think we are all connected. We are all linked energetically. And I think that there's more negativity out there than ever, it feels like. And people need to start snapping out of it, understanding who they are, and start doing the work to investigate further who is their most true authentic selves. And it's hard for people to get on their path because they're in total survival mode. They're inundated with programming from the time you're born. It's very hard to overcome your culture, to overcome whatever religion you were brought up in, to overcome your family dynamics that would keep you locked into a belief system that is not serving you at all, but you're unable to escape it because you have so much pressure to think, say, believe whatever you were taught. It's really unfortunate that people don't have the level of freedom to express and to discover and to investigate more about who and what we are.
So I come across on two levels. Number one, with ideas and principles that will help break up thought patterns. And then the universe has aligned me with the Relax Far Infrared Sauna, which, again, I said is truth serum. When you get in the far infrared energy, it's warm in there and it vibrates your water molecules. That's the only thing it does. And according to Dr. Yamaguchi, who has done a lot of research in Japan, it by vibrating the water molecules, the 7 to 14 micron frequency, especially, which the Relax Sauna is 100% of, tested in 4 laboratories, but that frequency vibrates the water molecules and then weakens the ionic bonds, releasing toxic poisonous gases and heavy metals from the body. And that increases the body temperature. When you increase the body temperature, one of the things besides increasing circulation and oxygenating the body and rejuvenating you, revitalizing you, it activates the parasympathetic. It applies pressure to get you into the now. It gets you into the now. And I have a quasi definition of pain. It's called the awareness of time. If you've ever worried, if you've ever hurried, if you've ever waited, all those are very, very painful activities. And at night when we sleep, the nervous caffeine mind is not functioning. That's when true healing can take place. Like, again, what we do, you, me, others, we catalyze others to awaken. We cannot awaken people. We cannot heal people, but we can catalyze people to be inspired and to touch that inner sound that you can't hear, that inner light you can't see, to inspire them to get connected to that. See, once we get connected to the audible life stream, to the sound of God, to the inner sound, and connect, then we have our own inner guidance system set up. And we develop absolute reliance on that. For example, way back in the early 70s, you had the Jesus freaks. On LSD, they would realize that they had to connect with themselves because of their background. They called it Jesus, but it just is what it is. And I honor those people. That's their truth. But what you're talking about is we cannot judge people.
Exactly.
Because what we do, judging not lest you be judged, we set ourselves up to experience that which we judged so that we will no longer judge it. And that's the beauty. That's the process, but at the same time, if you took an LSD trip to awaken you, how can you tell your fellow Christian brothers or your fellow brothers, don't do it? You don't know. You have to allow people to have their experiences so they can develop their connection, that deep interconnection with the divine within themselves.
Yes. We are aligned, Philip Wilson, on so many things. Like, we all are divine sparks of God. We are all connected. We are all down here to play out a play, for lack of a better words, and learn lessons. And energy and frequency and vibration has a lot to do with what happens in your reality. You know, I've had a complete and total transformation of my entire belief system in every way, and I'm still on the journey, and I'm still developing my own belief system, but I still think that I'm so grateful that I did have my health crisis. It was a gift, not the worst thing that happened to me, that it was my gift that allowed me to I would never have changed my belief system. I never would have gotten on my path. I never would have woken up, and now I'm in the process of rebuilding, but I've never been so happy, so content, and so sure that I am now stepping into my sole purpose, that this is what I'm supposed to be doing.
I'm
You
in
know?
love. I'm so much in love with the process of how a
Yeah.
person transformed. It's just that's one of the most beautiful things you can say in this world. The process of how it all works, how spirit comes and cleanses us, and how, we are co-workers with it. We are
Yes.
co-workers with God. It's like, it's not you alone, it's not it alone. You are it.
Yeah.
We're called creatures. You know why we're called creatures? Because we create.
Yeah,
We
we
create our
do.
own reality. And
We
and it's like the transformation is funny because, when you get into the relaxed sauna, people have told us their heart chakras have opened
Yeah,
there.
it's
It's
amazing.
see, again, you have some saunas and you love them, and you have the I guess the biomat, or you have an infrared
Yeah.
mat.
Yeah,
And
I do.
and again, I've been promoting the relaxed sauna now for 23 years. I have put 150,000 people in the relaxed sauna at about 500 different conferences. And if you could be a fly on the wall, listening to the comments people say, and about, again, all those reports you gave me about you and your mom and all that, about these are the things people say. And then people also say, I've had other saunas, they've been really good, like, they've healed them from diseases, but the relaxed sauna is far more therapeutic than any of the other saunas. And people don't understand that it's the technology that gives you more the active ingredient. Like, you have curcumin as the active ingredient in turmeric. The more curcumin you have in your turmeric formula, the more effective it's going to be. So this one lady had mold toxicity. The wooden sauna she had didn't do the trick. The relaxed sauna did instantly. And we also have, again, those spiritual awakenings, where I talked to someone just last week at a conference. His heart started to open, and all these other magical things happen in the relaxed sauna. So there's always another level. And so I have sold so many relaxed saunas to people who own $10,000, $12,000 state of the art holistic, wooden infrared saunas.
Yeah.
They buy the relaxed sauna as an upgrade because it gets you into the present moment quicker. It takes 30 seconds to preheat. Within 2 or 3 minutes, you feel like your grandma's giving you a loving hug. And with your clothes on, 5 to 7 minutes, 100% to 50% of your pain and stress gone every time without sweating. And then if you want to do a 20-minute sweat, you can do that too. And this one, with no preheating, it takes 20 minutes to have incredible sweat. That
I mean, I have to be honest, because I've heard a lot of people talk about infrared technology, the saunas, the mats, and it does do a lot for the body. I have never heard anyone talk about heart chakras opening or having any kind of spiritual, um, inspirational things happen through, the infrared technology. So this is like a new next level thing that I don't think is out there very much, because I've been in the holistic healing for like 10 years now. I've done everything you can imagine.
yeah.
Th- this is kind of interesting that you're also promoting it as a spiritual I don't wouldn't say healing thing, but what, the ability for
It,
you to step into the power of now while you're in this sauna is not something that I've ever heard anyone else say about an infrared mat or a sauna or anything else. That is interesting.
I call the Relax Sauna the spiritual sauna. That's what I've been calling it for about
Oh.
15 years. And when again, when you get in it, how many saunas do people say? Uh, for some reason, I don't even know your name. I could have called you Buffy, but
Oh, it's funny. People call me Busby.
oh, Busby, right? Okay,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah. People call me Busby or Buzz. That's what everybody calls me. So
Okay.
that's
Well,
interesting.
this will get all your water molecules to buzz. Okay, so this is the Busby sauna. It
The
gets
Busby sauna.
it gets all your water molecules vibrating, and you feel like but how many saunas do people say, "Gee, I feel like my grandma's giving me a wonderful, loving hug"? This is the standard response. An acupuncture student said, "Oh my gosh, I can feel my meridians." Another guy said, "I could feel my mitochondria creating energy." It's like if you could be a fly on the wall, listening to the people. Okay, two things: describing what it did for them. Oh my God, and describing what it did for them compared to other saunas they've been in.
Right.
So this is again just a different a layer of technology. We use computer semiconductor chips. We're the only sauna that uses computer technology because Planck's law, a law of physics, says that we can't give you 100% far infrared ray, but we did it because we use computer technology. And their assumption is that computer technology doesn't exist. So because of that, we can do things, and other sauna companies have no clue what we're talking about. And Pythagoras,
Yep.
the father of modern mathematics, also known as a great spiritual teacher in the times of Greece. He had a mystery school, and he was known as the son of Apollo, which translated means son of God. He was known 500 years before Christ, 500 BC. So basically, he was a spiritual teacher. He talked about the music of the spheres, the inner music we listen to travel back upon into the heart of God or creation. And so everything is vibrations. When I was meditating in the early 70s, I'd be doing this and my whole body would be buzzing and you could hear that sound. But it's like it puts a cup of coffee to shame in the morning. You feel connected. You feel connected. You feel aware. You feel revitalized, and you're centered. You're grounded. All this the Relax Sauna does. That's what it does by activating the parasympathetic with 100%, not 10 or 20. The near infrared is actually a distraction because it doesn't vibrate with the water molecules. And so, and did you know that you are a far infrared light being? Daniel Brinkley says we're all spiritual light beings.
Well, I knew that. Yeah.
Yeah, and and
Yeah.
and but you are a far infrared light being. The vibration and frequency of the human body is into the far infrared spectrum. Like you vibrate at 9.4 microns. All humans, all birds, all mammals. Water is a far infrared molecule. It vibrates at 8 microns. So if I give you the 7 to 14 micron frequency, you can't tell it's there because it's the same as you. So it's absorbed into the body and it penetrates very deeply. The near infrared at 1 or 1.5 or 0.9 or 0.88 or whatever, that's too far away. So we resist it. And so it doesn't vibrate the water molecules. It's too far away. And the resistance is sort of like a distraction. But we can be in an unconditional love, 100% far infrared light, no near infrared, just pure far. You feel like you're basking in divine love.
Where is this let's start, we're coming up on an hour here. Let's talk about how one can purchase one of these. Where do you have a website, or where should people go to even look at these things?
We have relaxsaunas.com,
Okay.
relaxsaunas with an S.com.
Okay. I will
Okay.
make sure and put that in the show notes. And how much, like, do you have different models, like, for any kind of budget, or like what are the price ranges for anything that would, for people who want to purchase?
We have three models. We have a lie down model, and we have two
Okay.
sit up models, which are the same. Okay, the sit
Okay.
up models, we have the original silver tent, and those are in 2025. Those are $1,700,
Okay.
uh, and the lie down is $1,700. And
Okay.
we have the black tent model. It's the same as a silver, same radiator, but it's got you can't tell, but it's got an embroidered logo. It's for high end spas, for Major League Baseball teams, for the person who has a lot of money. It was invented for rich Taiwanese people who wanted to feel like they were special, like being a member of the Harley Club. And so and so they made it thicker, and it retains the heat better. And they have a beautiful embroidered ivory logo on it that looks, exquisite. And if you have a high end spa and you look at the silver tent, it looks like a toaster oven cover, which never
Right,
bothered
compared to the
me.
other ones.
Yeah, so a lot of the high end spas, and it's $600 extra. It's because we don't make as many of them. It should be, it's worth 2,000 or 2,100 for sure. I don't, but if people have a lot of money, or if you just really like it, it's $2,300, and get it if you have the money. If you don't, you're not sacrificing your health at all by getting a silver sauna.
Is there anyone that you feel particularly would benefit from this type of sauna? I mean, everybody in the planet would benefit, we know that, but is there certain people with autoimmune diseases, people with suffering from arthritis, people like, what do you most of your clients feel like they're suffering from in general?
Well, like I said, even in 7 minutes without sweating, it can get rid of 100% of your pain. Uh,
Yeah.
or at least 50% every time. I guarantee 50%. Anyone who comes to me at a booth, I say, I guarantee you, I'll pay you if it doesn't. Uh, it, it's like Lyme disease. We have about 20 testimonials, 25 testimonials on our YouTube channel. So to get to the Relax Sauna YouTube channels, you just put in the YouTube search Relax Sauna testimonials, and
Okay.
you'll and then click on our page and then do a search on Lyme. We have 6 cancer clinics that sell the Relax Sauna to their patients. Sometimes people visit for a week or two, and then they recommend go home with the Relax Sauna to continue your treatments. The Dodgers won the World Series. They used the Relax Sauna that year, and actually have been using it for 3 years. They asked us to send 2 saunas to Citi Field when they played the Mets for the national championship. And they anyway, we uh, any athlete, anyone who does exercise, 7 minutes before the exercise and 20 minutes is all you need to do to do a profuse sweat afterwards. But anyone who's sick, anyone with arthritis, restless leg syndrome, neuropathy, um,
Mm.
uh, Raynaud's syndrome,
Uh-huh.
anyone who's not sleeping well, it just does wonders. Arthritis, fibromyalgia, piece of cake every time, cold sinus every time there's like, 900 to 1,000 video testimonials on the, I'm at a show and people says, oh my gosh, I was in for, the 7 minutes and my shoulder pain I had for 17 months is gone. This happens all the time, all the time. Just last week, guy had a limp for 3 years and pain of 6 or 7 in his knees, gone in 10 minutes. He bought one for him and his daughter. It's like people give me testimonials. I don't pay for testimonies. This one guy says, Phil, these testimonials have to be real because you don't have the money to pay these people. From buying a sauna. But it's like, and again, people who have $8,000, $9,000, $10,000 wooden saunas, their major complaint, it takes 30, 45 minutes sometimes when they get older, and they don't use it now because of that, or they have to go through all these conniptions to set it, but the Relax Sauna is 30 seconds. It's portable. It fits on a plane in a suitcase. that you can take on a plane and not be charged oversize. If you take an
Right.
oversized package, it can take $200. Any other portable sauna you cannot take on a plane. The Relax Sauna you can, including the chair. It
I mean, you kinda have me sold on it in
yeah,
a lot of ways. A lot, number 1, I am always going to be on the detox train. I think part of having just if you wanna maintain your health and well-being mentally, physically, and otherwise, you need to constantly be detoxing your body, whether that be through sauna, through your diet, through taking binders. There's many, many, many modalities to detox these days. So I'm forever going to be using some sort of sauna for detoxification of my body amongst other protocols that I have. So like this sounds amazing. I also like super love the spiritual side of the experience that you could get from this sauna. Like to be able to align your chakras or get grounded more or all of those things that it's going to do for your spiritual growth, your development there is exciting for me right there. Like I haven't had a kundalini awakening. I'm on my path. I've done some plant medicine journeys, which I'm a firm believer that plants are our teachers. They're here to open us, to teach us. But I mean, I want to experience anything that is going to allow my evolution and my spiritual development to increase. So to me, this is even more intriguing because I'll get the health benefits and then the spiritual side of it as well. So that's a win-win for me, my friend.
Well, the cleansing of the body, when you purify the body, you do lift the veils.
Yeah.
And again, if you would be a fly on the wall, listening to what people say when they get in, you would buy a Relax Sauna in a heartbeat. It's cleansing, purifying, and you feel like you really. It's like you slowly. It just sort of like applies pressure to get you into the moment, and it's magical. You can get to your sweet spot when you meditate in half the time when you
Oh,
go in the
wow.
Relax Sauna. And it takes usually the average person about 7 to 8 minutes to sweat. And in 15 minutes, you're dripping. In 20 minutes, you're drenched. Again, it's the technology that gives you the 7 to 14 micron frequency. Now, we were measured by Harvard MIT Science and Technology Lab. They gave us a report, not a study. And in the report, they said our frequency was between 7 and 14 microns, all far infrared energy. They said that the $1,400 portable sauna was the frequency was from 1.2 microns or from 1.1 microns to 6 microns. That turns out to be 55% near, 37% mid, and 8% far. The Amazon sauna was 1 point for it's from 1 to 1.32 or something like that. It was 100% near, 100%
Mm.
near. Now we were 3.5 and 4.5 times the intensity of the density. I think it's centimeters squared. Something I forget what it is. The millimeters over centimeters of, but anyway, the intensity of the penetration, the depth of penetration of the Relax Sauna was 3.5 times and 4.5 times over the other two saunas. And we had 1/12 the EMF and 1/180th of the EMF of those other two saunas. So it just, and like the guy who helped me, send the saunas he's a medical doctor, and I think he has a degree in nuclear or not. I forget. It's like, but neural physics or neural
Mm.
physiology. Okay, and he said he was super impressed, and again, when you experience the sauna, that's the icing on the cake. When you go in and say, "I've never been in a sauna that felt this good. I've never."
Yeah. I mean, Philip, it was such a pleasure to have you on the show. I love speaking to other people that have also gone through an awakening, that have peeled off the layers of our 3D matrix and start getting down to the nitty gritty of what our true reality is and who we are. So thank you very much for sharing your story on the show today. I really appreciate it. We will see you next week, guys. Journey well, everyone. Bye-bye. And that is a wrap on this episode of Fate, from Atheism to Enlightenment. Ladies and gentlemen, Philip Wilson. I loved his story. I loved his awakening. I loved his journey. I think he's a wise, wise man. The Relax Sauna seems next level with its ability to tap into a spiritual energy in you in a way, I guess. That part of the um that part of the machine I did not understand when I first started understanding he was going to come on the show. I didn't read anything like that anywhere that it also helped um open your heart chakra. It feels like you're being, hugged by your grandmother. Like I didn't know that. And when he told that side of the story and how, it vibrates the molecules of your body, and what that does to raise your vibration, increase your energy. Like, that seems very interesting to me. And I was always planning on getting an infrared sauna. I've known for years, like, when I can get the money together, I'm going to invest in that. So I think I'm going to invest in this one. This seems like a great fit for me. It seems like I will also not only get detoxification and all of the benefits of being in the infrared sauna, far infrared, um, plus in a spiritual boost, a spiritual opening, that could be amazing. So I am I'm for it. I'm not one to, like, promote, certain equipment or anything. This is not like a show that I'll probably do often, but I'm really glad I had Philip on the show. Um, the rise of the infrared red light and blue light, and everybody's using it on their faces and on their skin for beauty stuff. To me, that just supports the whole premise of, we are energy. It's using light frequency energy to heal your body, because we are that light frequency energy. So it's it kind of all comes back to making sense to me, as far as why that works so well. It ties in very much with my belief system currently. So I hope you enjoyed this episode. You can follow me on Instagram at F.A.T.E podcast. Follow the show. I am truly starting to do more online. I'm truly starting to post more. I'm feeling really good lately. I feel the kind of energy that you would need to really, you know, get your face out there online and post more. And, like, I just feel more myself, more creative, more at peace than I have in a long time. And I really want to focus on the show and bringing amazing content, different perspectives, opening your mind, and trying to raise the consciousness of this planet. That's the goal. Anyways, guys, I will leave it there. We will see you next week on Fate, from Atheism to Enlightenment. Welcome to your fate, everyone. I'll see you next week. Bye.